Hello, hello, and welcome to another week of Real Estate Unfiltered. And I am Jordana, and I have been in this business for 22 years. Hard to believe. And I've lived in Pittsburgh off and on for many years. So today we're going to talk about neighborhoods vibes. And I'm going to tell you, in 22 years of doing this business, at one point I counted and I sold in over 50 neighborhoods. Now, that was several years ago, so it's probably more by now. Let me be clear. In the city of Pittsburgh, there are 300,000 residents and there are over 90 neighborhoods. Okay. So we do have a lot of neighborhoods. And let me tell you, you could say, oh, well, what does it matter? 90. A lot of the neighborhoods have always historically been very loyal, I guess you could say, to their neighborhood. Okay, if you're in Bloomfield, you're in Bloomfield. If you're in Lawrenceville, you're in Lawrenceville. Sometimes when I first started and you put it in the wrong neighborhood, you'd get some offensive messages saying you're no, it's Highland Park, not East Liberty, or East Liberty, not Highland Park. So since Zillow came out, which I'm dating myself, it's less of a issue, but people used to get pretty heated up. So in a good way, loyalty and friendships in those neighborhoods and communities. Um, so here's the thing. I have lived in the city, many neighborhoods in the city, including Lawrenceville, Stanton Heights, Squirrel Hill. I have lived in the suburbs now, North Hills. I think I forgot what the city to also say I've lived in Oakland when I went to Pitt. Let's see. Now I live in right over the bridge from Lawrenceville. So, in Glenshaw, which I love. Took me a while to get used to because you can't walk everywhere. And I was very much a city girl. So that was a big adjustment for me. But it's 14 years later, and I love where I live and I love my community. But my thing is, because I've sold in so many neighborhoods, I don't steer anyone to any neighborhood. So I know some people just say, this is where I'm at. I am in Squirrel Hill, I'm a Squirrel Hill agent. And even, some of those people will truck out a little bit. But for me, because I've traveled all over and lived in so many places, I like the idea of trying to help people figure out where the best place is for them. Okay. Now, how do you know where the best place is for you? And this is where we come back again to get a trusted advisor. Okay. Trusted professional advisor. Because, and someone who, like myself, knows a lot of the different areas if you're not sure where you want to be. Now, some people know where they want to be. My family's in fill in the blank, and that's where I want to be. But I always spend a lot of time trying to understand your needs. And the thing about the city of Pittsburgh is the city itself, some neighborhoods are walkable, some neighborhoods aren't. Some neighborhoods are, you could take the bus easily, some neighborhoods you can't. Now, it's funny because the South Hills versus the North Hills, I would joke around when I do an open house in the north when I first moved out here and someone came from the south and I'd say, what? They allowed you to come over here? Because we have the second largest number of bridges in the world after Venice. And a lot of people just don't like going over bridges and through tunnels. It sounds crazy, but there was a point in time, I think it was right around my daughter was born. I felt the same way. We have what we have here and we don't need to go through a bridge and tunnel. It's a psychological thing. So even though right now I'm 10 minutes from Lawrenceville, I mean, you could actually walk if there were sidewalks. And people have, but some people think it's very far away. Um, I also want to share something else too. It is typical, for example, if you live in Lawrenceville, a lot of Lawrenceville people end up moving to Shaler. And then Shaler ends up moving to Hampton, and Hampton moves to Cranberry. And then when the Cranberry people retire, they go to Lawrenceville. So it's a cycle. And you'd have to look at the map so you'd understand what I'm saying. But the north tends to go further north, and the south tends to go further south. So it's like a migration pattern. And a lot of it has to do with, where your stuff is, your stores and your restaurants, and also just uh, convenience and knowing how to drive. Driving in the North Hills is very different than driving in the South Hills. The East is a whole different animal, and the West. So, and I've sold in all of them, and I am happy to sell with the West, for example. You're closer to the airport, very good schools. Coriopolis is kind of the beginning of it, and there's also Robert Morris University, and then you also have in the East, you have Churchill, and you have some older homes, beautiful historic homes. Now, the traffic can be kind of rough there. So, again, I had someone come here who said, I want to be able to be in the suburbs and have really good public transportation. Well, the South Hills is going to be your best bet. Um, the others are not going to be as good because the subway is in the South Hills. But if you like driving everywhere, South Hills, and I'm sorry to my South Hills friends, but it can be a nightmare. Sorry, but it is what it is. The North Hills flows quicker, the West flows quicker, and then the East, it depends on time of day. So, all right, Mia, do you have any questions?
Oh, yes, we have. One is how much should location matter compared to the house itself?
That is a very good question. And I actually, a lot of times too, I've had a lot of people come, when they come from out of town, they're not familiar with Pittsburgh. They will say, I'm in love with this house. This is it. This is the perfect house that they'll see online. And I was like, you might want to wait till you get here and explore. And a lot of times when they end up exploring, they go, oh, no. Because the thing about Pittsburgh is we have a lot of hills, like I said, tunnels, bridges. So we do not have a cookie cutter neighborhoods like I think like I don't want to speak for other cities, but I'm thinking say like a newer city somewhere in Texas, North Carolina. Maybe you have more standard neighborhoods and little communities. We don't have that. Every area is a little bit different. There's pros and cons to all of them. There are hills and some, there's not. So, as far as the location, the house itself and the location. Just like I said, price, condition, location have to match. So do the house that you want and the the area. That being said, like everything else, we have to make compromises, right? So if you want a historic home and you want a certain area with certain type of parking at a certain price range, that may just not be an option. Or you may have to get a smaller home, right? So I will also say I've been venturing out more and more as more people are coming and going, okay, this is expensive. Going further out, it's getting more expensive. So I've actually in the middle of helping two people buy in Uniontown, which I really haven't done before. So it's interesting that there's a few. And then I have someone else in Beaver County that I have helped Beaver County before, but this is on the border of Ohio. So we're kind of going further, further out. And I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to help anyone, anywhere, and to sit down and understand why certain areas are the best fit for you. So, like I said, I don't push anybody to an area, but if I sit down and understand what you're looking for, I can help you find the best location for you. Any other questions?
Another. How do you know if a neighborhood just feels far versus actually being inconvenient?
Ooh, that is a good question because a good friend of mine, Aaron Markowitz, he loves to say, who's in Cranberry, that um, he loves to say that it's so close to everything, but really, distance-wise, it's pretty far. But the way you get there in 279 is I found pretty fast, or Ohio Township. But then, like I said, you could be coming from the east, which miles wise isn't that bad. You're coming, let's just say, from Plum during rush hour. It can be pretty rough. So sometimes it's not the miles, it's the terrain, it's how you get there, et cetera, et cetera. And it also depends where you work and where you live. Not everybody obviously works downtown. Where do you live? Where do you work? Where do you do your shopping? Where do you go to school? Where do your kids go to school? Where does your family live? I mean, there's a lot of factors there. But again, I keep coming back to this. Let's sit down and figure out where is the best location for you based on what you're looking to do. And the nice thing is, I started in 2004 in this business. We didn't have GPS. Now we have so much at our fingertips, but people still need help from Just like when I looked up AI for something and I was like, wait, it doesn't know this stuff all that I know. So we have things that are helpful, but at the end of the day, we still need human beings to help us. But we do have more and more at your fingertips that you can kind of see how much an average commute would take and things like that, things that people didn't know when I started. Anything else?
Uh, yes, last. So if you had to choose, would you compromise on the house or the location?
Oh, okay. So that's what I was saying earlier. It really, um, if I personally had to compromise or my client had to compromise, because here's the thing. Again, this is where we sit down and discuss it because it's not my decision, it's my client's decision. And I think the other thing that's so important and one of the mistakes some people made during the pandemic, but thank God I didn't have anybody because I've been doing it a long time. So I give people the proper advice if I could. And the thing is that sight unseen when you don't know the city is always a risk, a city like ours. And I did look at some properties for a big investment company that could get their house sold, and they said houses sold, and they said they bought during the pandemic. I said, we're trying to sell now. We can't figure out why they're not selling. And one house I went to go look for, and it looked beautiful in the pictures. I couldn't find it on the street. I thought, where the heck is it? It was up this giant hill with barely anywhere to park up on the hill, and it was just treacherous, especially I can only imagine in an ice storm. So, yeah. So you can't just, it's not something you just look online and go, oh, those are pretty pictures and great price. The most important thing, and I tell people all the time, you got to come here. And if you're not willing to come here, then, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a mistake. It's in its pipe dreams. And in the long run, you may have issues if you don't at least come and get to know the neighborhoods and the markets and the houses, because it is not a cookie cutter neighborhood. And none of them are. Like I said, to have a city of 300,000 people with 90 distinct neighborhoods, pretty unusual. Anything else?
That's it, Jordana. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And hope you enjoyed this other week. And I will also say that's why on the listing side, it's so important to market it properly because people don't, like I said, it used to be people wanted to stay in the area. That's not the case anymore. We have the top hospitals, universities, and tech centers in the world, and people are coming from all over, and they are not committed to one neighborhood. So, marketing is really important. I mean, I got a listing in Bridgewater, that's another one in Beaver County, and it is so affordable. And it literally has a river view, and it has for $118,000. You're not on the river, but you can walk to the river in 5 minutes. And I want to check out this bar I haven't checked out, which is apparently they bring sand in so it looks like you're on the beach. But again, 118,000, So and it in the past that would have seemed really far, Beaver, but with GPS, it's really not as far as you would think anymore, especially for people coming in from places like Las Vegas or Colorado where they're used to a long commute. Anything else?
Get no more questions, Jordana.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you, Mia, and thank you, everybody. And you know where to find me, 412-657-3555. And like I said, I share all this because I get a lot of common questions and interests. And if I can help, the more people I can help, the better. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy this beautiful weather.